now rocking with TDF everything. Spoiled rotten.
Spoiler alert.
Welcome and welcome back, everybody.
Hey.
It's me, Daniel,
And this is Ben.
on Spoiled Rotten. And you knew we had to do this. We are here today to spoil the last two episodes of Fallout Season 2, episodes 7 and 8. So, get ready for all of my enthusiasm about this show. As I've been saying, for every episode we've covered, every episode of this show that we've covered of that show, I don't think this is inherently bad. It's just not for me.
That's fair.
I feel bad, but I took notes this time, so I won't be skimming over much.
Yeah.
I just look at it and go, this works for other people. I've met another person who really likes it, so I feel like that's good. I'm happy that's the case.
Yeah. I gotta say, episodes 7 and 8 have kind of turned me around a little bit. However, I think a lot of my initial impressions of this season still stand. But to me, I'm just like, oh, okay, that's actually very clever. They did a lot of really great stuff toward the latter half of the season.
Good. I'm hoping you'll be able to speak to it, because I found that the last two episodes were backtracking.
I genuinely hope I can speak to it.
I was watching and I was just like, these are not interesting choices to me, but they work for people, so that's good.
I will say my enthusiasm is largely fanboying over. I'm like, oh yeah, that's from the game. That's pretty awesome, and all that. And I will be perfectly honest. A lot of how I feel is projection into the future. So it's one of those
like
things
they've
where
set themselves up for success in future seasons.
I think they've set themselves up for interesting things. But I do believe that I can see what they're trying to do with this season, or what they tried to do. But like I said, there's things that I think my initial reactions are still very much like, yeah, I think that stands.
Fair enough. Episode 7 is called The Handoff. We can start there. So this starts with Stephanie. I remember on a previous episode, you're like, oh, does it matter that she's got a Canadian passport? Well, guess what?
It does now.
They had a plan for that.
Yep.
Did they pace it properly? Not for me to say.
Nope.
Just, they had a plan. This is the payoff. I feel like they're like climate refugees coming in from Canada. It feels like they're in real dire situation that has nothing to do with a nuclear bomb, and just like, we need to get to better climates. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm making things up. But yeah, she's got a companion with her, and obviously this isn't from the game because these are all new characters. But I was just like, am I supposed to know who this woman is? I guess it doesn't matter so much as you're getting how she's amped herself up to be a survivor. I feel like by the time I see her, I'm like, oh, she's a survivor. She made it. But the conversation she has with her companion really like amps her up, and it's like, hey, you just got to go in there. Don't think of them as humans. Think of them as Americans. And hard cut to the Canadian national anthem. And I was like, all right, I'm here for this.
Yeah.
I like that. But then I think I immediately get confused because I'm like, all right, well, now we're back in the time that was set up where we left off, which was Cooper and Barb extracting the stuff from Hank. And Steph is there to collect him and get him out of there. And she's talking to Cooper like, hey, so like, how do I get into a vault? And he's like, oh, hopefully we don't need them. And she's like, ha, yeah. No, seriously, I need to get into a vault. Maybe I can get a job. Like, how do I get a job? He's like, you're going to have to talk to Hank about that. And I was just like, so wait, when is this happening? Like, because she didn't seem to look like this when she was running into the States.
Yeah, yeah. It's so the thing is, the Fallout games, as much as I know, don't really explore what happened outside of America. And if they do, I'm pretty sure it's hidden in some deep lore.
So
and all
she
that
has
kind
to
of stuff.
pretend to be like that because
Yeah.
America's back in that aesthetic while the
Yeah.
rest of the world is normal. Got it.
Yes, and so I just genuinely don't know, and maybe this is the thing I probably should have looked into, but the idea of the timeline to me is the most confusing thing in the world right now, because I'm just like, damn, she aging good. She is
Well,
aging.
they confirm
good.
she's 200 years old, which
Yeah.
feels like that's a similar age to the ghoul.
Yes,
But I was just like, what? What?
with the
Because I didn't
ghoul-
think the guard that she walks by and stabs looked like he was part of the 50s, 60s aesthetic.
Mm, yeah, I mean, maybe that's just a military thing and all that kind of stuff, because I can't remember what the military gear was that they were looking at, like from the episode, I think like 2 or whatever, where they actually have the first Deathclaw images and all that kind of stuff fighting the Chinese. So I can't remember that part, but to me, I'm like, yeah, maybe that is very much like a cross into America thing, and that's their culture and aesthetic and vibe altogether, versus Canada was normal, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, if it makes anyone feel any better, I didn't even think this was complicated until we started recording. I just now was like, wait a minute, why does she look like that? But I think you've explained it.
Yeah,
I'm willing to just go with that. There's no need for me to look into it any further. It's just that is the state's aesthetic, and she was fitting in because she's a survivor.
Yeah.
Then we have Cooper. This is all in the past, by the way. I'm not doing it in order. I'm just doing like as much of the past stuff as I can. That makes sense. We'll jump around a bit. It's Cooper talking to that congresswoman. I feel like it's important to know her name, but she's a congresswoman, and she doesn't seem trustworthy, but really has his trust when she's like, well, what if I get you a meeting with the president? And he's like, don't see any problems with that. Yeah, let's do that choice. And I was like, oh, this seems like you should vet this a bit more, but
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, because when he did that, I was like, oh, buddy, you're far too naive to be doing this right now.
Which didn't feel like we were properly set up for him to be naive. We felt like we were set up for him to be very skeptical.
Right? He's been skeptical the whole time, so for him to be like, oh yeah,
like he just learned that his wife was lying to him.
Yep.
It just didn't really feel like, you know what, I'm gonna go right back into trusting people right away.
Especially the institution.
Yeah, couldn't possibly get burned by this.
Yeah. It's a weird choice, I will say. That's a very, very weird choice, because it's just like, you don't trust, like, she smartly says something along the lines of like, hey, I get that you won't trust me, but would you trust someone that I'm affiliated with? And I'm like, that by default means that he's trusting you to a degree. It's just like the technicality of who he gives the thing to is just, it's silly to me. It is just silly.
Yeah.
I wish he was a little bit more naive back in the day, because that at least would make a little bit more sense to me of like, oh, this
That's a good point.
is a little bit more interesting. But no, he's just, in every past scene, he just comes off as very skeptical the entire time.
I think that's why I didn't feel that the back and forth with him this season ultimately worked, because it just felt like he's just two different characters. Neither one of them are like dupes, or like it's like he had his suspicions and then he gets confirmation about his wife and he's upset about it. But it's not like he was going around like, oh, everything's great. I think he was ultimately like, I don't really like the way my wife's acting. Let me look into this. And got an answer he didn't like. But he wasn't like, as you said, he wasn't this naive person that over the 100 years morphed into the ghoul who knew not to trust anyone. It was like, nah, this guy's, for what he knows and the visibility he has, is doing a good enough job of being like, I I don't know who to trust or like how do I operate in this.
Because I very much agree, and you know, I would have wanted him to be more naive in the flashback stuff and all that kind of stuff, right? Because they set it up in the way that's very, very plausible for us, the audience, to understand, in the sense where it's like you're just a paid actor, you're a puppet, you're all these kind of things, and your wife has more power than you in this corporate landscape and all this kind of stuff.
In the last 2 episodes,
very much so.
Now she's just like you now, and it's like, oh, okay,
yeah, so and I'm just like, that's a decision. So you know what I mean, and I'm just like, I'm just saying they set up the stage for him to be much more naive in the past, which would make more sense to be like, hey, he's a very different version of himself, like 2 different characters in the past and the present as the ghoul and all that kind of stuff. So I just don't know why they didn't fully execute, and they're just like, no, he's kind of more similar than you think, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Then in the present, Lucy is she's talking to Hank, and she's like, you know what? Yeah, this is a good way to save the world, but it's not right. Basically what we said already, that she realizes that this is a solution, but it's not a good one. And then she kind of asks him, like, hey, so what does the chip do? And he's like, oh yeah, you can control how much amnesia they have, and you can also introduce new ideas. I don't even know what answer she thought she was gonna get, but the important thing is that she's like, yeah, I'm shutting this down. I don't want to do that.
Yep.
And I like that he's like, well, you could, but that would just kill them. Like, it's not like, this is irreversible. You're not really gonna be helping them by doing that, which is maybe not a progression, but a new spin on the whole stop shooting people in the ass and kneecap. Like, we're dealing with what we've been dealt and not looking for how things should be. But then they say a bunch of things I don't really fully remember or feel like interested me, but it was like, we gotta shut down the mainframe or do something.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's gonna go with Hank, and they have a nice driving sequence, and he gets to have some time with her as a teenager.
Yeah, he gets to do dad things like teaching how to drive and all that stuff. And I do like that. I do like that small little moment where she's like, "Why wouldn't I use 2 feet? There's 2 pedals."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because I was like,
yes, no, there's 2 pedals, but you use 1 foot. She's like,
yeah.
Okay, no, now you're being stupid.
It's very confusing. It very, very much is. It reminds me of that Breaking Bad scene where, you know, Walt Jr. is using 2 feet, and he's like, "Oh no, you should be using 1." I'm like, why? It makes sense for him. Like, it's so silly that they're like, no, you have to do it this way. But I think based on who Hank's character is, it just makes a little bit more sense of like, hey, yeah, he wants to control people.
This is my problem with how I grew up, that I was just like, only 1 foot, got it. Don't ever use 2 feet. Don't even question it.
It's confusing too, because then when you have a clutch, you're like, oh, now the second foot's involved. Like, cool, but then it's minimally involved, but very, very important.
Yeah, don't mess it up. Don't
mess it up.
Yeah. They do all that. Lucy does end up putting on the yellow dress, but I knew it was a ruse. I knew it. But I was like, well, this will get him in the right mind frame. And it does look like during the meal they have that she is kind of softening, because it's not the ghoul. It's the guy that was in the chair last time that she had to press the button on. He comes back and she's like, so do you remember me? And he's like, yeah, oh yeah, from earlier. She's like, no, like from first season. Do you remember that? And he's like, and Hank's kind of like, hey, can we just move on here? And she's like, I'm remembering why I don't want to do this anymore. Like, no, we gotta shut this down. And she ends up cuffing Hank to a stove, and I like that she's like, look, you were a good dad in so much as because of you, I'm not a fudging idiot. And I was just like, it's true, you do. I have like the brief moments they let her have her lived experience actually help her.
Yep.
This was more telling than showing, but I still went with it. I was like, yeah, there's no way this like guy wouldn't somehow rub off on you to be like, what's really going on? So I liked this element of the season, and as I said, this should have been like, I don't know if you only have him for a certain amount of days or something, but I'm like, this should have been the season, the two of them.
Yeah,
they did not find any new or interesting ground with her just being with the ghoul for as long as she was.
Yeah, I mean, because the way I think about the naivety thing about like who Coop could have been back then, and like this is definitely me writing the show for them. But like the idea of like if he was as naive as she was all the way back then, it would make the whole like road trip journey that they take together a little bit more understandable, in the sense where he's like, oh, I see myself in you and gotta harden you up to survive in this kind of thing. Like that makes sense to me, along with the fact that he has a daughter of his own. But the idea of like, yeah, they don't lean into that enough. It
all comes down to me saying I'm gonna sound like a burger. It's because it was just two different characters.
Yeah.
Like he did not. I don't feel like what I saw in the past informed much of what we see in the present outside of he's looking for his family.
Yes.
And
especially because
then,
they commit to expanding on the past in a very timeline confusing way.
And even then, it's like, it seems like he only really cares about his daughter, which up until the last episode, I was like, oh, or even the last two episodes, I was like, oh, because he hates his wife. But they pretty much are like, no, he loves his wife, and they made up and got on the same side. So like, it just, none of it really informed anything outside of, yeah, you could just tell me he wants to find his family. I get it. I don't.
Yeah.
I think it just needed to be different characters in the past that they kept going back to, or have it really be the Hank thing. Obviously, Hank is my favorite character. I'm realizing now, because like he is in the past, but if he's the one driving things, I know they're trying to hide the ball a bit with him, and I think they still are with what his full extent is. But I just, to spend so much time with him in the past, him being Cooper the Ghoul, you're just like, but I'm not learning anything or feeling like this is being brought into his performance as the Ghoul. As you said, he's not like, hey, this is my chance to have a daughter. Yep. This is not, hey, yeah, I feel bad for her because she's going through the stages I went through. He's just like, you're annoying because you won't just do what I'm saying to do that will help us succeed.
Yep.
Which is just, he could be any character at that point, because, yeah, she was annoyingly not going with the plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it is what it is. I was a bit disappointed in our three leads, which I feel like Lucy came out the best out of all of them. But the three leads from the first season, I was just kind of like, oh no, what have they done to you? Your asses used to be beautiful. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is all being intercut with other stuff, but basically the end of Lucy's stuff is her opening the door and seeing like the Futurama style head of the Congresswoman, all plugged in. And I'm just assuming that's the mainframe. I don't know.
That is Diane Welch. So the interesting bit of dialogue that they had here was, even though in the past as a Congresswoman and all that kind of stuff, she was what she was, which is advocating against and all that kind of stuff and all that kind of stuff. They said that she was the most ideal Myers-Briggs personality type to emulate every one of the chip people after. So that was the one piece of dialogue that I'm like, oh, okay, but like,
that's what I'm saying. She's the mainframe, right? Like that's the thing that they needed to shut down.
Yes, they're basically like, her thought patterns, her behaviors, or whatever.
I'm so glad they showed so much of her.
Yeah, it's
for
terrible.
me to be like, yeah, that makes sense.
It makes no sense at all. To like, why didn't we spend more time with her throughout the whole season to actually know, like, oh, what she wants and what Hank, like, because there's some things here that I'm starting to see in the last few episodes, like previously, that I'm like, oh, this kind of seems interesting to me. But why aren't they exploring this properly, right?
That is everything that I feel is wrong for me in the season as a whole. Was like, oh, that was interesting. Oh, we're not really focusing on that. Or there's not enough time to do anything with this.
Because, like, one of the biggest things with the chips, to me, is
which I feel
super,
like
super...
box. I think they're
whatever
calling
they
them
call it.
boxes. Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Sure. Well, whatever they're calling them. The thing that's super interesting to me is that originally the Sino-American War, like, I thought they were going to explore that a lot more in this season, given that we actually saw something from it. And probably looking into the fictional philosophies of what they projected the Chinese army and the Chinese government was versus the American. Now, based on real life and all that kind of stuff, obviously we're looking at, and this may be incorrect based on the world that they have there, but to me it's like the idea of Western freedom versus Eastern kind of compliance and all that kind of stuff, right? To the idea of like, oh, okay, so if Vault-Tec and Hank's character is like, oh, we're on the Western side of things, but we secretly do want the same compliance that the Chinese actually have in their government and their people and their all that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, that's actually interesting. But then why aren't we exploring more about the Chinese side of things and their military and their compliance and what the culture is that they establish within this universe? To me, that's just like, why did you not spend more of the flashback time looking at something like that? Because that would genuinely be interesting, how they're like, oh, basically we have different philosophies that ultimately want the same thing, which is human compliance towards higher power and management and all that kind of stuff. Like that, to me, I'm like, yeah, that would be actually cool for them to bite into and lean into. But nope, they're just like, we have this one scene with the Chinese army and the Death Claws, and that's about it.
I gotta say, man, like, I'm really happy you saw any potential of that. You remind me every single time we record that they have a war with China. That does not feel like any part of what they care about as storytellers in this show. I'm not saying it's not there. I'm not saying that you didn't just describe something that would be interesting to actually tackle, but I really do feel like they were like, just put it in there because that's the game. I don't think they actively care about that element to the point where, as I said, every week I forget that is fundamentally part of what's going on, and you just remind me. I'm like, oh yeah, well, yeah, right. Like it just doesn't. It is not a part of what's going on for me as a viewer. Granted, I'm not invested, but I am sitting there and watching and taking notes, and it never is top of mind or even under the surface for me, because I don't think that these people that are making the show care about that element.
It's either they don't care about it or they're afraid to touch it. Like that's what I genuinely think is happening right now, because what I just said about like the
I don't think they'd put it in at all if they were afraid to touch it. I think they just don't care. I think they're just like, you just put it in because that's in the game. Otherwise, you just wouldn't put it in.
But to me, I'm like, that's such a big potential for storytelling, and big potential to actually ask a question that I think is genuinely interesting as a Chinese Canadian looking at Eastern values and Eastern philosophies and all that kind of stuff, and then also living in a Western society. Like, these are things I see all the time of like, oh, y'all have different philosophies, but ultimately want the same thing for your population. So why isn't this conversation being a little bit more productive versus like it's all combative, right? So to me, I'm like, that actually makes sense to explore in the TV show versus in the game. You're just like, yeah, we got to run around this wasteland and follow this story and all that kind of stuff. And you know, like we were told of the Chinese war all the way back then, but it never came to fruition to discuss. Like, the interesting to me thing to me, like there's other pieces of media that explore the Chinese and American conflicts and all that kind of stuff, and actually have a fleshed out world where it's like, oh, this is what came as the result of it. Like I'm thinking about Firefly, for example, right? There's a lot of other things that just weren't afraid of looking at this, but this seems to either be not interested or afraid of looking at the Chinese world that they've built within this, and I don't understand why. I just don't get it.
I just think they don't care. I don't think it's a fear thing. As you said, there's a bunch of other media that has looked into it. Popular, maybe not successful, but popular.
That's unfortunately true for Firefly. Yes.
I mean, it's not specific to China, but Pluribus is looking at that with Eastern versus Western philosophies, as it pertains to, freedom in quotation marks versus the collective. So I don't think it's something that people making shows at this level are afraid of. I genuinely think that the people who are making this have an idea of what they want to do, and that's just something that they're like, yeah, it's in the game, so just put that there.
Yeah, I'm more in agreement with you about that than anything else.
Well, the good news is we can talk about Thaddeus and Maximus now.
Yay.
They're with the ghoul, and they're basically, he's like, yeah, come with me. And they're like, wait, are we going to Vegas? He's like, yeah, but we got to fight when we get there, so let's go get some weapons. And my good friend Maximus is like, hey, I'm going to give this to Lucy. And the ghoul's just like, well, yeah, I get it. You want to give that to a good person, but you need to save the good person. In order to save the good person, you're going to have to give that to a really bad person. And I was like, does he? I mean, I know what the ghoul's trying to get out of this, but I was like, in what way does this make sense to Maximus? Especially once he finds out that he's going to get a battle suit. I'm like, I feel like you could just keep it at that point. You can just be like, no, that's okay. I'll be fine. I know how to do this.
Yeah.
You're going to take me there, and I'll do this. I know he is the only remaining naive person, but I was just like, I just don't. He didn't get into any specifics of why giving it to him will actually help you. Because the real thing here is you just need him to take you to Lucy. You don't need him to hold on to anything. There's no, especially when he's telling you we're going to have to fight and we're going to need to get weapons. What do you think he's going to, obviously his plan isn't to talk anyone into anything. So you could just use the weapons to get to Lucy. And you don't need to give him anything. But again, I understand that this is so that he can have what he needs to get what he wants. But I'm just like, this just doesn't make sense for our other lead. This is not just another person he has to steamroll. This is actually a conflict between two of our leads.
Yeah, it's not like Maximus was like, oh, Thaddeus, bring this to this person, and he's just trying to manipulate Thaddeus. That would make sense. But this is, like you said, both of our leads that are just like, wait, what? Because it's clear to us what's happening. I'm like, oh, you're pulling the president shit that you experienced all the way back then. But to Maximus, I'm just like, oh man, you really are that naive. You really are that dumb. In all this kind of stuff.
No, I don't remember there being any follow-up questions. He's just like, well, I guess he's right.
Yep.
Oh, well, doesn't matter.
It's very disappointing. It's very disappointing.
I mean, honestly, there isn't even room for him to feel betrayed, so I guess it doesn't matter ultimately. The way things play out, it didn't matter.
No, it did not.
Sorry, spoil for people, but it doesn't matter that he got betrayed. Because he did, but he is too busy to care about that.
Yes.
Yep. They fight. They don't fight the ghoul. The ghoul leads them. They fight or Maximus fights Deathclaws. Thaddeus is kind of like hanging with the townspeople. We get to see the guy from the bear again. And there's a moment that I was like, I can't tell if Walton Goggins is playing this as actually admiring Maximus's ability or just admiring his own plan working. I couldn't tell. I was like, wait, is he like, the kid's really good at this? Or was he just like, wow, that worked. Okay, time for me to go.
Yeah, I can't tell either.
It was interesting at the very least. I was like, oh, well, then he's got me interested in this scene because I'm like, is he? The first time I watched it, I'll admit, I was like, oh, yeah, like, he's like, wow, the kid's really doing it. He's going to go help him. No, which is good camera work because he does have to walk towards Maximus for that. And then he just goes right in. And so the second time I was like, I don't know, I guess there's room for him to play. My plan worked. Okay.
Yeah.
But it could be both. He's like, wow, the kid's really good. And I'm going to double cross him.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. To be perfectly honest.
So yeah, he does not have to do any actual fighting. Maximus is going to take it all on.
Yep.
Even wasting. Yeah, I guess maybe that's I don't know what episode it is, but at some point he gets like powered up and can shoot rockets, but that doesn't really seem to mean anything overall.
Yeah, I mean that's this episode, and I do think that that's a moment for me type of people where I'm like, yeah, that's what the power armor's fully capable of. That's awesome.
That should mean he should win.
Yeah, but at the same time,
It was just cool to
clearly did not have enough training with power armors to begin with, right? Even though he did come from the Enclave.
Did he not, or was he just against a bunch of death claws with no help?
I just don't think he had enough training with it.
I don't
because
think that's
when he
how it was
discovered
framed.
it was just like, oh wow, look, I got rockets in my thing and all that kind of stuff.
He wasn't trained. I know, but I don't think that the way it's shot or framed is that this guy is not well trained. Otherwise, he wouldn't have lasted as long as he did.
Sure. Because
he was. I don't think that's what they were trying to get across. Is that
Sure.
he doesn't know what he's doing or not.
Well, okay.
I think for it to take up that much time, he needs to at least have been good enough to last that much time.
Sure.
And to take some out. It's not like he was fighting one of them that whole time.
Right.
Yeah, it just felt like a waste. but it had a cool moment.
It had some great moments for gamers like me, for sure. Like that's what it was. I was like, yeah. I remember having to preserve those missiles for big missions.
Yeah. Then the ghoul turns on the machine and it's Mr. House, and I was like, yeah, what a surprise. Yeah. But it's kind of like the Zola in Winter Soldier thing. Where he's like, no, this is me. This is not a recording. This is not like,
AI.
Like I. This is really me. This is my essence. And I was like, I'm out. I'm going to say that right now. I was just out after that. I was like, okay. Norm, he wakes up for a couple of seconds only to get knocked out again. Because they're like, should we kill him? No, we can't kill him. He's like, actually, I'm pretty sure because he pretended to be an overseer, we can kill him. And they're like, okay. But then they don't kill him. Yep. And Claudio wakes him up. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like the next episode is the end of that idea.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Not the problem. He wakes up. She's like, let's get out of here. He's like, no, I'm gonna make an announcement, and then they get caught again.
Yep.
Great. Maybe that'll be a season 3 thing. I don't know what he achieved with that, but it seems like because of how the last episode ends, it obviously means something. He did something.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get back to Chet and Steph, and it is not great, just like I thought. But he's kind of like, hey, I just wanted to talk to you about the wedding thing. She's like, I'm not now, I'm busy. And then he is washing dishes and he sees Mark Cherry's glasses, and he's like, you killed him, I knew it. I'm glad the show later on calls this out, but he is just like, I'm gonna shove these back into the disposal.
Yeah, like, makes no sense.
What? Why?
Yeah,
why?
Like why?
You could put
why
that in your pocket. You could hold it in your hand.
Yes.
She wouldn't care. She's not looking at you. She doesn't see you.
That's why I was like,
whatever you want.
I was genuinely so confused by that whole scene. I'm like, okay, so you're sticking your hand in the trash disposal thing, which to me, I'm like, oh, are you trying to mutilate yourself before the wedding so you don't have to do the wedding kind of thing? Like,
no.
You know, no. They were just like, oh, they just want to set up that shot the way they did and then have him be like, oh, yeah, I have proof, but I'm going to destroy the proof too. Like, it makes no sense to me.
No.
It doesn't make any sense.
But it does set up a funny thing that happens later. But I was like, does he have a plan for later? Why is he doing that?
He clearly has no plan.
No, he had no plan.
Yeah.
Then there's this whole thing about there's a special box that Hank had stashed away because Steph is. Did they not say it in this episode? Maybe they only said it. Maybe they only said it in episode 8, but I don't really care. Steph is his wife.
Yes.
So she's like writes to this box, and Betty has to give it to her because it's in the other vault, and she does that. Betty does that in exchange for water, which obviously she will never get.
Yes.
She's like, wait, because you said you were. She's like, not now. Leave me alone. Don't bring it up anymore. I'm done. I got what I needed out of this exchange.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Betty, come on.
Yeah, Betty, I'm
What
a
you
real
do?
ashamed of Betty in this situation. I'm like, you've got more street smarts than that. You're not just
She
going
did
to
a
bring your
classic,
side of things and not do a classic trade-off.
she did like a Ned
what?
Stark, like, hey, I'm gonna give you what you want, but you're a bad person. I'm
Yeah.
gonna make you feel bad. And it's like, who do you think you're dealing with? You think that's gonna stop them?
Yeah.
I'm also just kind of, I'm really confused. Does the show want me to not like Steph because she's ultimately bad, or because I feel like they did just a lot of she's just trying to survive this situation?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they're trying to do, to be perfectly honest with Steph. I think her character got a lot more interesting, that's for sure. And I'm down for the ride of what happens with Steph and all that kind of stuff. But to me, I'm just like, too little, too late in the season. They should have done a lot more of this in the beginning. But B, just the idea of like, does that mean they're going to explore what Canada went through and what Steph went through?
China is anything to go by? No.
Yeah.
No, I don't
To
think so.
me,
I mean,
yeah.
who knows? Like, I have to remind myself this is the team that did Westworld that famously had an amazing first season and then it was kind of like, well. So, I don't know. Maybe they have a property that speaks to them more and they'll be able to go the distance, but I think they famously had a wobbly second season of Westworld too. So maybe this was just them working out, like just shaking this one off, and 3 and 4 will be better.
Hopefully.
Or yeah, either way. Chet decides he's going to go through with the wedding because then he'll have enough witnesses. So he was thinking about the visual, or what's it called, the optics of everything.
Yes.
And he had the witnesses, and he's like, "Yeah, this bitch is Canadian. She's 200 years old. She's here to kill us. I don't trust her." Because at first people are like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" He's like, "No, look, this is her idea." And everyone's like, "Oh shit, she's Canadian. Okay, yeah, we're against her." And he's like, "And she killed Woody or whatever his name is. What Mark Cherry? We all know what I'm talking about." And they're like, "Yeah, it's a pretty big accusation." He's like, "Well, I found his glasses in our disposal." Like, okay, well, did you bring them? And he's like, "No, I put them back in the disposal." And I'm like,
yeah.
was it worth us seeing him do such a dumb thing for this joke, or would it have been better if he only brought it up in that moment and then they called him out for his dumb move? I don't know. I know they have to show that he really did see the glasses, but it is just like, I feel like this would fly better if I didn't see him do this 2 minutes before they made this joke. Like, because it really was just like, oh, you don't have a plan. This is the plan. All right. It works. I mean, everyone chases her literally out of the room and she locks herself in her office. But it was just like, I don't know what that glasses thing was. What a weird choice.
Yeah, Chet's a real himbo. He's a real big dummy.
Yeah. All right. Episode 8. What is that episode called? I don't know. Oh, the strip, obviously. I don't know his character name, but Macaulay Culkin. He's
Kaiser.
Well, that's not his name. That's
the
title
but
he wants.
Yes.
Yeah, the Kaiser's dead. He finds a note that was like, "Yeah, this dies with me. I'm the Kaiser. I'm dead, so this is all done." And Macaulay Culkin, with extreme ease, is able to be like, "No, I'm going to be the Kaiser," and then he kills the witness, and no one decides to follow up on that. And he's just like, "Yeah, like we're going to go storm the Vegas Strip, and we're going to expand." And I'm like, "Great,
yep,
more of
and
this."
he's going to eat the evidence.
That's fun. He ate the note, but left the dead body, like, as in the person he killed, not the old Kaiser was already a skeleton. There's no need to do anything with that. But he did stab somebody and just leave it there, and I feel like that would lead to questions, but apparently not.
Yeah, it did not, because nobody dared go in there and just assumed that he was right. I did like the speech that he gave afterwards. I'm like, Caesar's Palace, that does exist in Las Vegas. It's kind of funny.
It's got to work for people. It didn't work for me, but it worked for you. This is good. This is
Yeah.
all good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ghoul's working with Mr. House to get to his kids in exchange for something I didn't catch or care about. I don't know what Mr. House is getting out of this. He's kind of just like, oh, yeah, like, I'll help you get to them. But then this is going to happen. I was like, what's going to happen? What, like, you needed someone to turn you on. What is happening here? Like, what leverage do you have?
Yeah. It's real weird, to be perfectly honest. It's real weird what happens with Mr. House in this episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot to say, nothing to do with the ghoul and Mr. House. We're back to Maximus fighting the Death Claws. Thaddeus's arm came off in the other episode.
It's just
I guess that's funny.
off.
Well, he'd been worried about a couple of things because he had teeth coming out of his shoulder.
Right.
And he was trying to connect with the ghoul, and the ghoul was kind of giving him nothing.
Yeah, that's gonna lead into a game thing later on where it doesn't actually change much about his character. It's just like, oh, he keeps mutating into something that we see in the game, but I mean, that's just like, okay, cool. That's about it.
But it means he can't be an effective sniper, and he's just, again, with the townsfolk, and he's kind of like, all right, like, I'll take bets on who's going to win here. I think they kind of ignore him, and they start making their own bets, and he's like, no, I got like 500 caps. And they're like, okay, great, you're in. The way he opened it onto the floor, I'm like, your money's gone, obviously. Like, just take that. I don't know why
so
that was
dumb. It's so dumb, but I mean, like, it's not like his character was designed to be a smart person in the first place, so I'm like, at least that makes sense.
I wasn't thinking he was dumb. I was just like, why aren't people just stealing that money that just fell on the ground?
Yeah.
Like, what's he going to do about it?
Yeah. His arm just fell off. Like, what's he going to do about it?
He can't do anything about it. Anyway,
nothing.
They're honorable people except for when it comes to the fact where they're like, oh shit, he's a kid. And the bear guy is like, let's help, and someone's like, nah.
And then everyone was like, nah, and then he was like, oh yeah,
I thought he was still gonna go out, but he was just
thing.
like, nah, you're right.
Yeah,
we weren't gonna help in the first place. Why would we help now?
It's the hilarious thing of like, oh, he's trying to start a slow clap, but it didn't work. Like, you know what I mean?
It's kind of, it's a bit more involved, but yeah, he couldn't get the slow clap going. Yeah, that congresswoman begs to be killed.
Yep.
Which, I didn't even know what the alternative was going to be. Like, unplug her? Wouldn't that kill her?
Keep her alive.
But how? Like, I feel like the whole point is you have to unplug her. And to me, she's being kept alive by those plugs.
Well, she's being... Okay, and this is the thing that, from my nutrition background, I'm just like, how the hell are they making this work? Because there's clearly what we call an enteral nutrition tube in her mouth, which is feeding basically liquefied food to keep everything going. But that doesn't work if there's no digestive system to put it back into the brain, because that's all you need to do is really just feed glucose to the brain at that point. Well, this is
why I said Futurama style, because those things are alive, and there's obviously no reason for them to be alive. So I was just going on Futurama.
But at least Futurama has, like, the whole idea of, like, the bottom of the neck is, like, capped off with metal. And I'm just like, okay, that makes sense to me and all that kind of stuff. At least they made that make sense. But here I'm just like, oh, so it's just gruesome, and she's literally still alive. And this is just,
I guess I feel like what I got from what you said was you still need a digestive system. I don't know how the metal at the bottom replaces that.
I mean, that's fair.
To me, it's the same thing. One just looks cleaner.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's flawed logic either way. But that's why I'm like, the fact that they had something in her mouth didn't make sense. It would have made more sense if there was a tube, just more tubes just going directly to the head.
I mean, there was like 10 in her head.
There was 10, but they were like electrical and all that kind of shit.
Either way, I just feel like she was all like, no, I'm not going to kill you. And I'm like, you will.
Why?
Like, what else are you going to do? There's no other way around. You maybe don't have to bash her head in, but you would effectively be killing her by unplugging her.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I don't know. Anyway, she does it.
Yeah, she does it. As we see later, with a lot of blood stains on that pretty yellow dress.
Yeah. whoa. Oh yeah, Hank talks to her after this. This is the whole like, yeah, people wanted to make robots, but I made it better because now they're not like robots. So
They have.
you're welcome.
Yeah.
Now you see how you should just do what I say, because the alternative was people would just be robots, and who wants to live in a world with robots?
Yeah, they have Diane Welch's personality type and all that kind of stuff, and it's such a weird discussion of like, you know, how he goes like, well, Mr. House wanted basically human robots with no personalities. I gave him personality. Look how great that is. And I'm just like, it's just making you feel more comfortable about what you're doing, which is enslaving people against their will.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Yeah, that's exactly how that works.
Yeah, and then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna put a chip in you now. And I'm like, I just thought your plan was better before, and it would have been way easier for you when you were like, hey, take my daughter away from me so I can continue to do my shit.
Yeah.
And you could have come and put the chip in her while she was sleeping or something back in the vault, but you did this, and at least it was more screen time with you and her together, because that's what needed to happen. But
he also had the opportunity to put the chip in multiple times while she was passed out and like being carried to the vault that he's in and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just like, why are you looking for consent at this point from her? It makes no sense. It's like, are you like trying to be like, oh yeah, like I've brainwashed and manipulated my daughter into thinking this, and she's willing to sign on. Like, that's clearly for him and him alone. But, you know, it's the idea of like, no, it's not great, man. This is just slavery.
Well, yeah, this show is not like pretending like he's not a bad guy.
No, it's not.
It seemed like he had a good idea, and then they pivoted, and I was like, why?
Yeah,
you went this long without having to deal with her on these terms. Why would you stop now?
Yeah, doesn't make sense.
I guess hubris, but it just didn't. It was such an unforced error on his part. Yeah, he tries to put the chip in. The ghoul saves her. Well, he kills the person that's going to put the chip in her, but shoots Hank in the ass. And I'm like, oh, that's a nice thing. That's a nice callback.
Yeah, that's a Lucy thing.
He's like, if it were up to me, it wouldn't be in your ass, but it's not up to me. And Lucy's like, metaphorical tip of the hat. You can keep moving on. Bye.
I do very much like how he slides the gun to Lucy to be like, hey, this is your decision at this point. I'm going to empower you to do what you got to do, and I'm going to do what I got to do. I like that a lot. That was cool of him.
She puts the chip in him and has the...
No, the chip's already inside him, isn't it? She doesn't put it in him.
Oh, he already has a chip.
He already had the chip installed.
It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
She has control over it then.
Yep.
She has the reaction that I was waiting for this whole time, which is breaking down and being like, the fuck's your problem, man? Like, you lied to me this whole time. This really hurt. And I was like, yes, this is what you should have been doing before. And maybe there's an argument for it if she finally had time to think about it, but I feel like there was a bunch of not slow pacing ones, but just like downbeats where she could have let it come over her earlier on. Because I feel like that's the type of conflict I like seeing played out, whereas they really didn't engage with the betrayal she felt.
Yeah, like there's an argument to be made about the fact that she didn't do it until she had him cuffed to the oven and all that kind of stuff, because she needed to manipulate him to get to that point. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But then when he's cuffed and he ain't going anywhere, it's like, why aren't you having that conversation then? You know, it is perplexing. I guess her goal was like, gotta shut the whole system down first. But as we learn,
I guess maybe she was like, all right, victory's in sight. Now I can let myself feel this stuff.
Yeah.
And he's pretty much like, hey man, you understand that the vaults are not the experiment. The surface level was the experiment. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. Yeah. We don't get an answer, but obviously that's for third season.
Yeah. Which is not true at all. The vaults by definition were experiments. Like each one had a different social experiment or like physical experiment being run and all that kind of stuff.
What I will accept is they weren't unclear on how the vaults would work.
Right.
So that, to me, that doesn't mean experiment. To me, experiment, the surface being experiment is what does it look like when people are out there? Like, that's the unknown part. That's the experiment. Like, if we let people be out on the surface.
Sure.
Because they know what's going to happen in the vault. And that's...
Sure.
So that's why I don't think by definition the vaults are experiment. That's like, this is what we're doing. This is how we know things will work out. And it did work out for them. I don't know what they're doing on the surface that is an experiment, but the surface is the unknown part. To me, that feels like that's what you're testing. That's what you're doing controls for. That's the experiment.
Yeah, I don't know what the surface experiment is. Like you said, it's probably, hopefully, getting answered in season 3. But to me, I'm just like, I don't know right now. It feels like, because I can't trust this guy and what he's saying. So it's just like, for the fact that he said that, I'm like, are you still trying to manipulate and play game right now, or like what's actually happening?
I mean, I feel like we're beyond the point of him out and out lying. I think that the manipulation comes from him making false equivalencies, but he is like, hey, like this is how things are.
Sure.
But I don't, like, I could be missing something, but I can't think of a time in season 2 where he lies. He's constantly being like, sure, go ahead and do that, but I'm not bothered because this is the reality.
Right.
It's still manipulation, to your point, but it's not manipulation through like lying. It's just like, I'm going to let you think that you're in control here when really all of this has already been decided and you can't really affect what's happening.
Right. It's like, you just said it perfectly. That's it.
Yeah, Vault 32 people, a bunch of idiots.
A bunch of dumb and dumbs.
They get angry. They knock someone into the elevator. It opens. The roaches come out that we were warned about in whatever episode that was. And
6
they all
or 5, something like that.
Yeah, one of those. And Norm uses a chair to protect himself. Most people get picked off or go into a room, and then when Norm tries to get into the room, they chose to exclude him and risk having roaches come in over just letting him in and doing whatever it is they were planning to do anyway, because they have the numbers to him and Claudia, and ended up costing most of them their lives, except for, luckily for us, Claudia, who's not dead somehow.
That was wild to me. I'm like, oh, how did Claudia get out of this, aside from plot armor? But I am glad that she's around.
We did watch them knock him out multiple times through strangulation and through like blunt force trauma. So like, he should also just be dead. Like you don't actually get to just wake up from that and be like, all right, time to go. Yeah,
like you got to have some sort of concussion at that point. You know what I mean? It's just the idea of like, it's. I don't like the fact that they just wrote it that way, because if for example they were like, oh, we'll kick Claudia out of this room as well, and then Claudia and Norm survive through their shared experience, that would make more sense to me. But they were like, nah, Claudia, come in here, not this Norm guy though. Get rid of this guy. That makes no sense, because they already know that Claudia has betrayed them in some capacity. Like, what are they doing? And she's like brand new to the company. She's 1 week old.
Yeah, they said you've only been here a week. Like they point out, much like the what did you do with the glasses? Like they point out that they don't actually feel any loyalty to her.
Correct. So to me, it's just genuinely baffling to be like, why didn't you just shove Norm and Claudia out there as bait for the roaches?
Because isn't she the one that initially gets knocked into the elevator, or was that someone else?
That's someone else.
Oh. All right, well,
it is someone else that opens the elevator, because they assume that it's working like normal and there's no roach.
No, she pokes her head in. it was already open. That's the problem.
Yes,
they
it
knock
is.
her and it opens, and she, not Claudia, goes in and goes, "Oh, guess they were lying," and then she gets taken out by the roaches.
That was not Claudia. That was someone else.
Yeah. No, I thought Claudia was the one that got hit into it because there was another person that just put their head in and then got hurt. But turns out it was two other people. Claudia was just not working that day, I guess.
It's my day off.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's that. Then they go back to the past, and that's when they confirm the whole, hey, Hank asked Steph to marry him. She said yes. Obviously, we know because she needs to get into a vault.
Yep.
And
she uses marriage strategically.
Yeah.
That's great. It's what marriage was intended for.
It also seems like you didn't need to do the other marriage thing.
Which one?
The Chet one.
The Chet one. Oh, yeah.
Like, what was that helping?
I don't know.
I don't know. I saw no upside for her.
Yeah, it's a weird decision. Because like prior to this, it's like, oh, every wedding is her achieving something other than, marital bliss and all that kind of stuff. Like, which makes sense to me as a survival mechanism, but also like, hey, let's not forget that marriage up until like, the past 100 years has been about utility and ownership lands and combining power more so than it's been about love. That's been a 100%. Recent thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Then Cooper and Bob are kind of like, or Barb, not Bob. Cooper and Barb are kind of like, hey, like we did, we made it. Unfortunately, all the phones start ringing, and it's Mr. House, and he's like, "You fucked up, bro," and he's taken in, and this is where, if you had any doubts, he's just like, he's not mad at his wife at all. He's just like, "Hey, don't take any blame for this. You knew nothing. This is all on me."
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, like, I don't. Well, it seems like they're going to do something with Barb in third season, obviously, for stuff that happens later in this episode. Yes. But I'm just like, what an interesting failure of this character in this season.
Yes.
Whoa. Yeah. Anyway, just that she's left in the position she's. I'm like, aren't you like the head of a company? Like, what's happening here? Mm-hmm. Did you lose all of that and I didn't see it?
Yeah.
You were in control. You had a bunch of people listening to you in a room that didn't even work for you at one point. Mm-hmm. And now you're just like, oh, what am I going to do? Like acting like you're just any old wife.
Right. But I mean, like, to be fair, there's that one scene with the scientist from,
that he said something out loud that didn't actually factor into anything or play into anything other than confirming a theme that we like.
No, it did factor. It what he says to her is the idea of like, oh, you're a cog in the strip. Like, if you try to deviate from this, your family's gonna die and all that kind of stuff, right? I mean, it does kind of give us something, not a lot, but something.
I don't think that's enough. I think that for that to be true, you need to like work us through her losing power.
True.
As I said, she was the head of this cabal essentially, which had other people's CEOs listening to her and taking advice from her.
Right.
So that means she's outside of just Vault Tech being able to control things.
True.
And so to learn that you're just the face of Vault Tech and you don't actually have any power doesn't explain the power she had over the other companies.
Yeah.
Or suddenly losing it just because she knows now. That wasn't publicly stated or anything. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. That, like, yes, I like that he said that because it almost felt like they were addressing the race thing.
Yes.
But it didn't mean anything outside of that conversation in that elevator. Mm-hmm. Everything else would have been business as usual outside of, as you said, yes, they went against the thing, but it's like, it happened so quickly that I'm like, well, she did have some kind of sway over things.
Yes, she very much did. I will say that the Cooper flashbacks are not serving the show the way they think it's serving the show. Because it's just confusing, and then the timelines are weird, and it's just like all this weird stuff that's happening right now that maybe they'll explain in season 3. But to me, I'm a little bit less interested because I'm just like, you're just digging a deeper hole at this point. The more you go back in time to that shit, but it's a great set piece though. That part's cool.
Yeah, that it all turns on them, but it just felt so. I feel like she would have tried to pull some strings, and they don't even show that. Like her realizing she's actually out of control,
right?
Which is an important part of it.
They did not do a good job there.
Which is why I say then it must be something for a 3rd season. But it that lives in something we haven't seen yet, and I can only talk about what I have seen.
Yes. And that's why I said right off the beginning of recording, I'm like, I'm excited for what these 2 episodes set up, but at the same time, I can be very, very disappointed if they have no follow through at this, so we'll see.
Then they cut to present day with Steph in her office, and people are basically like, yeah, let's kill her.
Yeah, death to management.
Death to management. And somehow Chet's like, oh, I didn't realize that was going to happen. I'm like, did you not realize that was going to happen? What did you think was going to happen, buddy?
Yeah.
You were basically like, this woman was sent here to destroy us. Did you think they were just going to be like, now get out of here and stay out?
Yeah. They're not going to do that.
But yeah, the way he played it was like, wait, no, not death to management. Just, I don't know, yell at her a bit.
Yeah, let's just like write her a strongly worded letter, to me, this like Chet's character is just really just a himbo. It just like doesn't think anything through, doesn't have a plan for anything, and it's just like, oh, I didn't realize there would be consequences to my actions.
At least Steph is an interesting character now, but yeah,
yes,
it's a bummer because I liked the comedy of the 2 of them together.
Yeah,
and they decided to just completely get rid of that this season.
Yeah. But you're right, Steph is now interesting.
Yeah, she opens up the box and she's like, all right, start phase 2. And her message is mixed with Norm's message from last episode, which is why I'm like, that has to be something. But
it is something.
I can't say I care. But it's something.
Fair enough. So, I mean, I'll do a little bit of game logic here and all that kind of stuff. So, the Pip-Boy that she has, the special Pip-Boy from Hank that she got from Leslie Uggams' character and all that kind of stuff, is an Enclave Pip-Boy. So, that is basically the government-issued version of that. So, the fun thing is knowing that Hank was working for the Enclave as well as for Vault-Tec and all that kind of stuff. I'm just like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. That's kind of interesting because now he's, like you said from the last episode, it's like, yeah, the surface, now he knows what the real experiment is and all that kind of stuff. But that is a government issued Vault-Tec, not Vault-Tec, just Enclave Pip-Boy. So it's got like special access, special communications, as you see her do and all that kind of stuff, to be like, hey, let's initiate phase 2. And what we see with Norm is that we're starting to uncover what phase 2 actually is with the FEVs, Force Evolutionary Virus and all that kind of stuff. And I am assuming that is tied to very much the water supply that they have. So beginning of phase 2 means maybe the Batman Begins thing where they contaminate the water and then they get the viral infections and then they just all mutate into something else.
Because that's what Norm was talking about. What are you doing to our vault with the virus?
Yep.
Well, I mean, look, anything can be good. So hopefully season 3 makes good use of this teasing.
Yeah, anything could be good except for how they're connecting these storylines, because that is not good.
I say can't. I mean, yeah, this could have been good. It wasn't for me, but it is good for people. So
right.
I don't want to minimize that, but yeah, it's not working for me. I forgot to mention that what's it called? New California Republic saved that town.
NCR. Yeah.
I
love the NCR. I think that's so cool. I will say that
cool.
One shot with the sniper from the roof, straight from the video game. That had me gushing. That was cool.
I wanted it to be, what's that character we said we liked that they just completely forgot existed in this season? Well, after the one episode they were in. The I feel like the gender fluid character that I don't remember the name.
Oh, Dane?
Yeah, I really wanted that to be Dane.
Yeah.
I mean,
that would have been cool.
I don't think it will be, but
by the way,
character never takes their mask off, so I was like, still hope.
Still hope. By the way, I just realized we assumed that they were a gender fluid character. Not the case whatsoever.
All right.
Yeah. Just a femme presenting man.
All right, there we go.
That's it. Not gender binary, just a man that is that way.
All right, well, there we go. A man. I can confidently talk about that now. It was about not the season, because the season was not interested in him.
Yes.
All right.
Which makes more sense, given the fact that he is of the Brotherhood, and there's a clear lack of any kind of female or just non-binary or anything deviating from men, basically, in the Brotherhood. So
it is called the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. So that actor is just a man. Got it.
Yep.
Well, I wish he took the mask off there, because that was my big thing. I was like, please, no, nothing.
That would have been cool.
But it is a cool shot. Don't get me wrong. I was just like, oh, please let it be Dane. But yeah, I mentioned that because the next thing I've written down is that Lucy and Maximus finally reunite.
Yep.
Good for them. And then the ghoul goes to the, what do you even call those? Like the containers?
I don't know, the pods. Let's call them pods.
Yeah, they're pods. They're definitely pods. And Janie, he just opens up Janie's, or like that's kind of what.
No, he opens up both.
Okay, well, they just focus on Janie's, and she's not there.
Yep. And
obviously, Barb's not there.
Yeah.
But they have the Colorado postcard.
Yep.
And Mr. House like, haha. And he's like, no, you're wrong. I think this is great because now I have confirmation they're alive. And I'm like, no. Maybe that card means something to you that I don't know, but this is just more potential for them being dead.
Yeah.
To me, I don't see this as they're definitely alive. Like, they could have been alive, and maybe you just got there too late. I don't mean that they were there, but like wherever they are, they could be dead now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
because they're not safe in their pods.
Yeah, it was a. I wonder how many calories he burned jumping to that conclusion. I really, really do, because I'm just like, oh, well, you have the only thing you have confirmation of is that they're not in the pods.
Yeah, and that they're probably in Colorado, or that they went to Colorado at some point.
Sure. Yep.
That's what they left for you.
In which case, it's just like,
I mean, I think they are setting up what you wanted, which is he's going to meet Janie, who's old.
Yes.
But she can't possibly be older than him.
Yeah, she can.
How?
In the sense where, because if she was frozen as a young girl, then she would just age normally, right?
And then how old would that make her, considering he's over 200 years old?
Depending it just depends when she was released out of the thing, but that's what I'm expecting at this point.
Did he freeze?
He did not freeze, but he
was.
So
then how would she be older than him?
So he was a ghoul with the uranium healing abilities.
But he wouldn't be older than him.
Yeah. I mean, just the idea of like, oh yeah, I missed your childhood would probably be impactful enough, but I'm expecting...
That's what I'm saying. It's the idea you're talking about without it being that she's older than him, just that
Correct.
He misses the childhood thing.
Correct, but also because from Fallout 4, the son, who is significantly older than the father, when they meet up again, the son is the head of this synthetic corporation and all that kind of stuff. So, which kind of feels like they're leading to right now with a lot of these different things. So that's an interesting thought and idea, but we'll see if that actually gets carried out in Colorado, because that's not what the Institute is from Colorado in that kind of thing.
Well, as you
So
said,
it's just a big old mess.
the possibilities are endless.
The possibilities are endless. They
It
really
could be
are.
really good.
Yeah, it could be.
Um,
Blind faith.
that's yeah. That's season 2. That's what
That is
happens in
two.
season 2.
Oh, we forgot to mention. Hank wipes his own memory. It's a pretty big part of it. Just turns on his own chip, wipes his own memory, and then he's just like, "Who are you? Hello."
Now, let
It's a
me
pleasure
wipe
to
your
meet you.
face, lady.
Yeah.
We did forget to mention that.
But yeah.
I think the show thinks it's a big deal, but to me, I'm like,
It's
I think
not
he's
a
gonna
big
get
deal.
his memory back.
I just don't see how. But, at this point, it's just the idea of like, oh, I guess he's not a part of season 3.
Or she's gonna get what she wants, turn him into the father she thought he was.
Possibly, maybe.
He's already showing that he wants to take care of her, so maybe that will just be what she builds off of.
Sure. I mean, that does make sense. We also find out that the secret vault that Cooper's going to is the vault for the investors and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like a management vault, it is an investor vault. Because those are the shareholders are the real people.
Yeah.
Make the decisions.
And one thing is that Lucy's like, oh, I feel bad. This is all my fault. This is all because Macaulay Culkin and the Romans come.
Yeah.
And storm Las
They're
Vegas. Like, oh, yeah,
marching
this is all
towards
my
Las
fault.
Vegas.
And I thought that Maximus would be like, well, I also started a civil war, so but he was just kind of like, yeah, well, welcome to the Wildlands. I was like, you're not gonna
You're not
help
gonna fess
share.
up there.
You're not gonna, commiserate with her and be like, yeah, you know what, that sucks, and I did some bad things, but he was just like, yeah, that's pretty dumb of you. Anyway.
Yeah. It's like that trend on freaking TikTok. It's like, we listen and we don't judge. And he just immediately judged her. I'm like, you did the same thing, bro. You did it
I don't even
worse.
judge her so much as just completely let her sit in her guilt without like helping
That'd
at
be
all.
fair. Yeah. But that's kind of cool. We got Caesar's army marching to New Vegas, looking to wage war against the NCR and everyone else that's there for reasons unknown, to be perfectly honest. Except for maybe claiming Caesar's Palace as their rightful headquarters, which again to me is funny.
Yeah.
But
well, we did it. We talked about the full second season of Fallout.
we got there.
Do you want to rate it, or are there other things you want to mention?
I mean, the only other thing I want to mention is maybe a spoiler for season 3 and all that kind of stuff. But the building that they show is basically the last remaining vestiges of the American government and all that kind of stuff. And when the president that they showed in season 2 is also known as the last human president. So we will see whether or not, and this is what I think is going to happen, Janie is going to be a part of that foundation and all that kind of stuff, and has turned the president into a synthetic humanoid robot type of thing, and that president gets to live forever. So now Cooper's got to deal with the fact of like, oh no, my daughter's a part of the system that I'm trying to fight against. This sucks.
I mean, that would suck if he wasn't the ghoul that only really cares about seeing his family again.
Yeah.
I don't.
I'm pretty sure he wants to reunite with the family and be like, hey, let's all be one big happy again and skip off into the sunset.
What I mean by that is, if he sees his daughter, he would just be like, okay, whatever you're doing. I don't think that's what I'm saying. There's two separate characters. I think Cooper would be upset. I don't think Ghoul would be. I think Ghoul would just be like, all right, I got what I wanted. My daughter's here.
That's fair.
And I'll just be with her.
That's fair.
Because nothing about his character that they had throughout the second season made me feel like he cared about anything outside of, can I get to my family?
Yep.
I don't know that he's fighting against any system or cares.
I think he is, in the sense where the whole final scene in New Vegas when Mr. House calls and all that kind of stuff, and they clearly devise some sort of real quick plan on the fly. I think he's trying to execute that, and trying to right his wrongs from the past and all that kind of stuff. But I think there's some sort of plan. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to say the least. Hopefully they follow through. I have wishes of what I want them to explore in season 3, so I genuinely hope they listen to this, because I'm just like, hey, explore the China angle. Stop being cowards and explore the China angle, because that's legit interesting, at least to me, and I think it would be interesting.
Be careful what you wish for, given how they treat everything else that has to do with race in this show.
That's fair, but I mean, in that regard, they kind of can't really brush off race in that regard when they're just like, oh, it's the Chinese army.
Yeah. I'm saying, there's just sometimes you gotta recognize who you're dealing with, and I don't think these are people I want dealing with that.
Yeah, I do anticipate it being very surface level. I'm not setting myself up for some sort of failure in that regard, but I just want them to do it, and I want to be able to dig in and analyze it, because the way I've analyzed this season, I think is being very generous to this show. I really, really do.
I mean, if it got you thinking about stuff, I don't know. That's good. That means something.
Yeah, but I don't know if that means that I'm just projecting the stuff that I see onto it, or if whether or not they actually intended to do it. Because, again, those discussions and conversations between Eastern philosophies and Western philosophies to me are legitimately interesting, because the way I see it, y'all want the same thing. Like, y'all want the same thing, but you're doing it in very, very different ways, and because of that difference, y'all can't actually understand where each other are coming from. So, to me that's interesting, but that's because I'm like I said, Chinese Canadian, where I belong spiritually to both worlds, but both worlds will also actively reject me, because the Chinese will be like, you're not Chinese, and Canadians will be like, you're not Canadian, and I'm like, cool, just Ben. That's great.
Well, on that note, we should rate this.
Yeah.
On that very lovely and uplifting note. I guess this is a matter of good news or bad news first. I guess I'll just go, but you can only go up from here. I'm going to give this season a 4. I did not like it. It was very upsetting to me to have to sit there.
Fair enough. This is a 6.5 to me.
Perfect.
It picked up toward the end. Really wish they paced the whole season out a lot better. But I still think that this show is doing interesting, good things without proper follow through. But hey, it is what it is. I think it's a 6.5. I don't think it's absolutely terrible, but I just do think that they make some choices that are genuinely perplexing to me.
Yeah.
And like I said, I gush when I get like, oh, that reminds me of the game that I spent like 160 hours on.
That's fair. That's very fair. Well, sorry to people who liked it and felt I was being mean to it, but that's what Pen's here for, to bring the spirits up with not just his rating, but the optimism he has for this season and the third season.
That's right. Gotta do your gratitude journals.
Exactly. Well, if you did feel strongly about this season, one way or the other, please get in touch with us. Let us know. You can email spoiledpodcast@gmail.com. We are at TDF Spoiled on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Lemonade, YouTube. So you can contact us that way, and you can go to tdfeverything.com/spoiledrotten, or rate, review, subscribe, share with your friends on the podcast platform of your choice. All right. We'll be back. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
This has been a TDF Everything production, brah.